Your Honor, the state would call Sandra at Dierenfield.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You can see. The court attendant told me that some of you folks are having a little trouble hearing the witnesses. If you ever have any trouble hearing a witness or anyone else here that's speaking, just let me know so we can get it taken care of. Just raise your hand, give me some sort of indication. We'll try to take care of it. Cameron?
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Sandra Dierenfield.
I'm going to have you slow down a little bit.
Sandra Dierenfield.
And for the record, could you spell your first and your last name?
Sandridierenfeld.
It's pronounced Ms. Dierenfield.
Yes.
Ms. Dierenfield, where do you currently live?
606 North 5th Street, Sac City, Iowa.
And about how long have you lived there?
I've lived there 30 years.
Are you currently employed?
Yes, I am.
Where are you employed?
Wally's, it's not Wally's, Sac City Food Pride.
And how long have you worked there?
7 years.
What's your position there?
I all around, I do meat department, deli, and I work for.
I want to ask you some questions about a person named Mark Coster. Did you know Mark Coster?
Yes, I did.
And how did you know him?
He was my neighbor.
Well, you gave us your address at 606 North 5th Street.
Correct.
Where would Mr. Coster have lived when he was living next to you?
608 North 5th Street.
If we had 610 North 5th Street, does that sound right?
Probably, yeah, because, there was another house behind me that's no longer there.
Let's do it this way. May I go there? Ms. Dierenfeld, can you see the State Exhibit 22 that I placed on the monitor?
Yes.
Would this be the front or the back of Mr. Coster's home?
That's the front towards the street.
So if we're looking at Mr. Coster's home when he was living next to you, did you live, if we're looking at the photograph, to the left of his house or to the right?
To the right of his house.
So you would have lived to the right. And is there a driveway to Mr. Coster's home?
Yes, it's on the left-hand side.
We sort of see a vehicle parked in there.
Yes.
And then is there a garage also on the left-hand side?
Yes, sir.
Now, the backyard of Mr. Coster, was there any fence or anything up?
No.
And your home, which would have been to the right of it, was your backyard fenced in or anything?
No.
Was there very much room between Mark Coster's home and your room? How many feet do you have any idea?
7 to 10 feet.
Close.
Yeah.
Do you have any recollection when Mark Coster would have moved into the home?
See, my son graduated in 95. It was probably, or 2005, probably like 1998, 99.
And when Mr. Coster moved in, to your knowledge, did he move in with anyone?
No, he did not.
Would you ever go over to visit with Mark Coster?
Sure, we visited quite regularly when he was outside, or, be in each other's backyards, we helped each other out.
So I think you said it was around 1997, 1998 you thought you moved in?
Something like, yeah.
And then when you would go out after you moved in, was he the kind of guy that you saw you outside and talked to you?
Oh, he'd always stop and say something, yeah. He was pleasant.
Did you two get along as neighbors though?
Sure.
How about the arrangements? Were there any arrangements for mowing grass between the two of you guys?
Yeah, I had a rider, Mark had a big backyard, so I ride my mower across his big backyard, and he had pushed, and he pushed to my front yard, so kind of evened it out.
And was that for the majority of the time that you lived there?
Yeah,
Would you see him every day, or how often would you see him?
not every day, but probably 3 or 4 times a week.
Were there be times when he was living there that you would go over to his house?
When they were sitting outside, or we were sitting outside, we'd sit in the backyard and talk, because I had a big puppy, and he liked to play with the puppy.
How would you describe Mark Costner as a person?
He was a loner, kept to himself, didn't really have any friends, or nothing. His dad was the only person I ever saw go there.
So you met his dad
Yes,
at Mark Costner's house?
yes. They fished, they went fishing a lot.
Did Mark Costner seem like a smart man?
He was very smart. He was a computer, he wrote computer programs.
You said that Mark and his dad would go fishing. Did Mark ever introduce his dad to you?
Yes, he did once.
Now, would there have been times when Mark was living next to you that he would leave for periods of time?
Yeah, he usually would tell me when he's leaving, because I take care of the yard or whatever we need to do.
So, there were times if he had left, he would tell you that your job is to help take care of the yard.
Just watch over things while he's gone.
How about if he was gone in the winter? Did you have any?
I found the note on the door, and that was the first time I'd ever left for a period of time like that. A note on the house saying, going to Florida for the winter, see you in the spring. I didn't think anything of it until they never returned in the spring.
Okay. Well, let's back up before the finding a note. And that would that have been the note we're talking about in 2009, correct?
Yes,
Prior to 2009, when he moved in 1997, around there, until 2009, if Mark Costner had left, he had talked to you about it,
sure.
and you would take care of the home, or at least the outside or the grass.
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
How about shoveling? Was there any arrangements for that? Was he ever gone during the winter?
No, not normally. He never left for any period of time over winter.
So up until 2009, when you two were neighbors, would you still see each other up until that point, 3 or 4 times a week?
Passing in the yard, because, yeah, he worked down at the telemarketer, which he would out at nights, and I worked there every day, so we'd see each other outside most of the time, yeah.
And when you would there be occasion you sit down and talk?
Yeah, he'd come over and ask us if we could use the computer to check out his website, because he had day trading on the computer, and we'd check his website that way.
Was there anything that you used in Mark's house that you?
Well, yeah, my freezer was too full. I'd use his freezer to put things in.
So when you would go over to Mark's house to use his freezer, how would you get in if Mark wasn't there and you needed something out of the
He
freezer?
left his door unlocked most of the time, because he's around town.
And when you would go over to get things out of the freezer, would you go in the house when Mark was there?
Yeah, knock and walk on in.
And how did Mark seem to be getting along in the house?
Fine, I mean, he was a bachelor, he wasn't the cleanest place in the world, but he was fine.
From 1997 up until 2009, during that time period, did you have any problems with Mark having any type of outburst with you?
No,
Did he ever act violent toward you in any way?
no,
Ever raise his voice or throw things at you?
no.
Did he seem to still want to talk to you when you would see him?
Mark and I never had a problem with him. He was always polite, kind.
So did you see any change in behavior from when he moved in up until 2009?
The only change I saw in him is he seemed like he wasn't feeling well. He seemed, you know, like he didn't move around as well. He didn't look like he was feeling good.
How about his weight in around
And
2000?
he lost a lot of weight too.
I'm sorry,
He'd lost a lot of weight too.
in 2009 he
He
did.
looked awful thin, yeah. His color was great, he just didn't look good.
Would this have been close to the time right before you saw the note on the door?
Right before, yeah, they left, Soldier Road, they left.
Before we get to the note, was there a time that you noticed somebody that was living with Mark Costa?
Yeah, Tom, well, that's what I was introduced to him, is Tom. Moved in with him because he's from Texas. They'd gone to school together. He was in college. He was returning a favor because he lived with Tom down there, and Tom was coming up to live with him up here. He said they had some family site feeds down there, so he's coming up to stay here. So, yeah, he moved up here with him.
So Mark told you he's returning the favor to Tom,
Yes,
letting him stay there.
yep.
Now the person that you said he was introduced to you as Tom,
Yes.
do you know approximately how tall this guy was?
6'3", 4", somewhere around there. Everybody seems tall to me, though I'm not very tall.
And when this person came up to live with Mark, do you know about when in 2009 he became Mark?
No, I mean, it was early in the year. I didn't pay attention to, I didn't think to pay attention to it. Why would I?
Did you, this person I was introduced you as Tom, did you see him around a lot?
Yeah, he'd sit outside. He had a puppy that he'd always take outside to go to the bathroom to watch. Yeah, I saw him around.
What kind of, when we're saying a puppy, or what kind of dog are we
A
talking
little
about?
Pomeranian or something like that. Little fuzzy thing.
Prior to this gentleman that was introduced as Tom moved in, did Mark Coster have any dogs?
No,
Do you have any cats?
no.
Do you know if this person called Tom, did he have a car or a truck?
Sure he had a car.
You know what kind of car?
It was it wasn't a new one, it was a four-door, light color. It was nice, it was decent, it was a brand new, but it was a decent car. I'm not sure what it was.
Now, at some point, you mentioned a note on the door. Do you remember about it? Would that have been around in July?
June, July, yeah, it was, I thought it was odd because it was early, too early to be leaving for, but sometimes people, you know, if they don't know, they don't, whoever, you know, whatever you want to leave, they leave.
Okay. And we're talking in July of 2009.
Yes.
So you go over to Mark's house, and do you remember where the note was?
On the, between the screen door and the front door.
I'm going to put up State Exhibit 23 on the monitor. Now, this Dierenfield, can you see the monitor?
Yes, it is.
There's two doors, is this the back to Mr. Coster's home?
Yes, it is.
And which of the, if you're looking at the photograph, to the right or to the left of the door?
The right door was in,
So that door?
yes.
And do you remember at all what the note said?
Went to Florida to see you in the spring.
Was there any names on the note?
And Mark, Tom, And then there's a phone number on it. That's about it.
So did you think anything of it when you saw the note?
No. That's how wife and I go down for the winter.
Prior to that note being on the door, do you know the last time you saw Mark Coster?
Probably right before that. I mean,
Right before that, are we talking a day or two, or?
within a week, you know.
Within that week, before seeing the note, how would you describe Mark Coster's health at that point?
Not good. I mean, he didn't look good.
I know, it means a lot of things to different people when you say not look good. What in particular did you see that didn't look good?
The color, his face drawn, he just didn't appear to be feeling well.
Did he appear to have been gaining any weight?
No. See, he was thin, he was thin.
I'm sorry.
He was thin, he had, he just didn't look good.
Now, prior to seeing the note, from the time this guy that was introduced to you as Tom until you saw the note, this is the time period I'm going to ask you about. Did you hear any arguments coming from the house during that time?
No.
Out in the yard, did you see this Tom guy and the Mark ever argue or fight?
No.
Is your house, you mentioned how close it was to Mark's house. During the summer, do you have your windows open or shut?
I have an upstairs bedroom and I have a patio door up there. I leave my patio door open all the time. I hear every noise that goes on in that neighborhood. And I never ever heard any arguing or fighting or anything coming from their house.
So if you're in your house with the windows open, if somebody would have been yelling in Mark's house, do you think you could hear it?
Oh, yes. Because I hear the neighbors 2 miles down, they fight.
And you didn't hear any of that before the note?
Nope.
Have you been in the house, you said you went into the freezer. How many times do you think you've been into Mark's house?
Over a dozen.
Did you go into the living room of the house as well?
Sure, he showed me, I'd seen the inside of his house, and I showed it to him before, and he showed me his website on the computer, so yeah, I walked into that house.
When you were in Mark Coster's house, at any time, did you ever see him in a problem?
No,
Did you ever see Mark Coster ever use an umbrella?
no,
When you were in the house, the different times during Mark Coster's house, did you ever, from 1997 up until 2009, did you ever see a baseball bat in that house?
no.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Afternoon, Mr. Your interactions with Mark that you described, you said that the most common time for you guys to interact was when he was on the way to work, correct?
Correct.
And as far as you can recall, those interactions with him on his way to work, those continued right up until the time that he disappeared?
until he stopped working out at telemarketing, yes.
Okay, and when approximately was that?
Well, usually he'd work it over the winter months, so he wasn't working at that time, but he'd be sitting out in the yard, you know, they would go fishing and things like that. He hadn't started working that year yet, because the winter had been long. They were going to Florida instead.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you correctly, the sort of the practice with your neighbor was that he would work during the winter months, right?
They fish during the summer.
Okay, and then he would just take off the entire summer, collect unemployment, and go fishing.
Well, he'd live off his earnings from day trading.
Okay. Okay. Now, this issue of whether or not Mr. Green was called Tom or John, you're really not sure.
I could have misunderstood it.
I appreciate your eagerness to answer, but for the record, you have to let me get my question out first, okay? The issue on whether he was, whether Mark had introduced him as Tom or John, or whether he called himself Tom or John, you really can't remember, right?
No, because Mark spoke quietly, so it was just an issue of me not hearing it correctly.
So it's very possible he could have been introduced to you as John.
Correct.
In fact, it's possible he could have been introduced with his last name, right?
I don't remember her last name being brought up.
You had to testify in a trial where Mark was going to be declared legally dead, correct?
Right.
I'm gonna approach you. I'm gonna ask you to review the questions and answers that you gave with that. I'm gonna ask you to start up at line 2 and then go all the way down through line 14, okay?
Sure.
Okay, so you recall testifying at that trial, correct?
Sure.
At that trial, you said that his last name was told to you, but it just didn't stick with you,
I
correct?
said Timber told me, but I know what it says there, but no. If you would take, if you would look at the notes that was given today, that was given before we went, I said, I don't know if it was given to me or not.
Okay. You understand that the trial that you testified, there was a court reporter, just like there is today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to read for you the question and answer. The question that was asked was, at any time did you find out what Tom's last name was? Your answer was, he told me, but it didn't stick with me because we were on a first name basis.
Yeah, probably so, yes.
Okay, so that's what you said back at the trial in 2010, correct?
That's probably true too, yes, because they probably told me that it didn't stick with me.
Okay. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that you'd agree with me that Tom and John are both very common names.
Yes,
correct?
they are.
And this note that was on the back of the door that said Tom on it, you had seen that several times in the time that Mark was missing, correct?
No, because I saw it the one time I called the police officers in, and then they took the note. I didn't look at it again. I mean, why should I? I didn't need to.
Your recollection was that the first time the officers showed up, they took the note?
They didn't take the note, but I didn't need to look at it again. I knew what it said. I mean, I read it.
Right, and what you read on there was Tom.
I think so.
Right, but you can't say whether or not that name that was on that note then somehow became the name that you remembered him being called, right?
Yeah, that's what I remember it being called. I just saw the names there. I remember what the rest of the note said.
You said that you had gone in before to use Mark's freezer.
Yeah, in the kitchen.
When was the last time you had done that?
I haven't used it for quite a while because I got a new freezer in my garage.
So do you have a time frame for us?
No, I don't. I don't keep a notebook of things, you know, in it.
Absolutely. Do you recall when the last time you were in that house?
Prior to the,
Prior to Mr. Green residing?
no,
Okay. Mr. Hammerhand asked you if you saw an umbrella in the house. Did you ever go over to Mark's house looking for an umbrella?
no,
That wasn't what was on your mind when you went into Mark's house? You weren't saying to yourself, where does Mark keep an umbrella?
no,
Okay. What about a baseball bat? Same thing.
no, I never noticed one, I never looked for one.
Okay. So obviously if you're not looking for something, you're not going to see it, right?
Probably not.
Mr. Green and Mark, they got along, right?
Yes, they did.
They appeared to be good friends,
Yes,
right?
they did.
Mark you felt was ill, correct?
Yes.
He
They
was-
spoke highly of each other, and they didn't, I see no problem with them.
Mark had lost some weight.
Yes.
You thought he might have cancer or AIDS or both?
I didn't know, because he just looked horrible.
Okay. That was a change, right?
Yes.
That was not how Mark looked most of the time, right?
No,
So in that respect, certainly when John Green was there, that's something that looked different than what you knew of Mark
yes,
regularly.
from when he first moved in, correct?
So even in the last like 7 years before that, he didn't look ill like that, right?
No,
That was a recent thing that had come on in a few months before Mr. Green got there, right?
yes.
Certainly you can't account for your whereabouts every night at every minute of every day in June, correct?
No.
I don't have any other questions.
Your Director,
No other questions, thank you.
you sit down.
May I just indicate to you?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me.